Am I the a-hole for refusing to print out some forms for my stepdaughter? Stepdaughter is 17 and I don't have a relationship nor any form of interaction for the last 2 years. I used to be friendly to her and her 2 siblings, helping here and there with what they needed, shopping, pick up and drop off to different activities. Plus, I was also doing all the cooking, cleaning, entertaining, organizing trips and activities for all. But no matter how nice and helpful I was to her, I always felt rejected. Initially, I thought it was normal, and it was just a matter of time for her to open up to me. Her other 2 siblings were simply cordial, which was fine to me. 4 years passed by and things got worse. She was only acknowledging me whenever she needed something. Other than that, I was made feel like an object. No hello, goodbye, not even looking at me. We both could be in the same room and she just passed me by like I was part of the decor. She was always wearing her AirPods around me, and she was never helpful around the house. Neither do her siblings. I got tired of feeling used and rejected, so I stopped doing anything with and for her. Husband was not happy at all, and we had so many fights and arguments about it, but I stood my ground. After 2 years of having peace of mind but not acknowledging one another, husband is out of town texting me that his daughter wants to know if she can email me some forms to print out and give them to her. Not only I said no, but also pointed out how ballsy she was for requesting my help considering our situation. I also got mad at my husband for entertaining her request, knowing how bad things are among us. Acknowledging me only when she needs my free services was one of the many reasons I wanted nothing to do with her. I had a big fight with my husband over the phone, whilst beyond upset at me and finds me petty. Stepdaughter lives with her mom a couple blocks away from us. She also has an older half-brother that also lives in the neighborhood who she gets along very well. Her mom has lots of friends and extended family, so clearly I'm not the only resource she has. The task wasn't going to take lots of my time and effort. Even though it was requested at 10 p.m., I could have printed it out and left it in the front porch for her to pick it up in the morning. So am I the a-hole for not helping the stepdaughter with her simple request? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She needs to learn that how she treats others has consequences. Good for you for standing your ground. Info. What did you do as a family to remedy the problems? How did their parents' divorce come to be? Were the children put into counseling so they had a safe place to discuss their feelings? How long were you with dad prior to it becoming serious and meeting his kids? You haven't given enough information on what was done to help the children adjust to the new adult in their life to determine whether or not you're the a-hole or if their parents are the a-holes. Most likely though, the literal child is not the a-hole. I talked to the stepkid several times about being cordial. No need to be friends. Stepdaughter 17 was the only one not on board with it. I encouraged dad to spend alone time with his children. Plus, I tried to work on the weekends when they were visiting so they all could be alone. Dad also tried to talk to them alone. Their separation was due to infidelity from the mother. I don't think counseling was provided until recently. We dated 1.5 years before marriage. I pulled back after I arranged and paid for a family holiday trip in 2020. The thinking was that we could bond better while enjoying life. But stepkids made the trip a living hell for me. I came back feeling even worse, basically disrespected, used, and rejected but on vacation. To the point that I went to stay in a hotel for an entire week after we came back. From that point until now, I don't talk to her. Her siblings apologized and were cordial. You know you have a husband problem and not a stepdaughter problem, right? Yes. After so much research, I understood what was happening. Why would you marry into a family that at best 1 out of 4 actually likes you? It wasn't like this from the get-go. I was very optimistic we were going to get along well, but then things change. And what exactly are you getting from this marriage now? From your post, I don't even think your husband gives a damn about you. He should be shielding you from this, not put you at the front lines like some cannon fodder. Next story. Am I the a-hole for siding with my sister and niece? My sister, 45 female, and her daughter, 12, came to stay with me and my wife, both 28, and our kids, 10 female and 6 male, following my sister's divorce. My niece's bio dad has never been present, and my sister's ex-husband wants nothing to do with her, despite raising her. Due to this, my sister is severely depressed, and my niece has been acting out. My sister honestly can't handle it, and it's made her spiral further. She sleeps a lot. Both my niece and her are now in therapy. My niece's friend came over 3 nights ago and hasn't left yet. Since this girl arrived, both my daughter and my niece haven't been very nice to my son, purposely making sure he isn't included, to the point of making comments to him for something simple, like him going into the living room when they are watching a movie. They are taking girl time to the extreme, and they have been spoken to several times about it, and I thought it was getting better. Well, I got home from work today and my wife was noticeably angry. She says, "Choose what you want for dinner and go wake your sister the heck up, because I'm not feeding her kid or her kid's freaking friend." Apparently, about 30 minutes prior, the girls were being over the top mean to our son and it made my son rage out. I told my wife that I understood her frustration and I'm there to help her now. But she said, through gritted teeth without looking at me, and gripping the sink to a point of white knuckles, "Go wake up your sister, because I'm not freaking feeding her kid and her kid's freaking friend. I'm done." Sister hears and comes down and gets into it with my wife about her lack of empathy for denying kids food, and I agreed with my sister. I understand this is hard and that girls are being jerks, but don't deny a child food. She told us all to get out as it's technically her house, and that I had better never darken her doorstep again. My sister and niece were very triggered by my wife, and were both crying profusely. Am I the a-hole? Info. Was your daughter punished? Because she was part of the bullying, right? Is your wife simply blaming your niece? Because if so, you and her are failing as parents, just as much as your sister. When I got home, my daughter had already been sent to her bedroom and grounded from all electronics and friend time for a week. She did discipline our daughter. Our daughter's never been grounded before, so I'm sure it will stick. Everyone sucks here. If you want to help your sister, you're welcome to, but you can't expect your wife to cook and clean for them, especially after she tells you she's done. But I'm going to say your wife is an a-hole too. The idea of kicking you out the home for not agreeing with her is controlling. To pull this is my house line. She didn't kick me out for not agreeing with her. She kicked me out because me, my sister, and my niece all teamed up on her and made her feel uncomfortable in her own home after all she's done to be accommodating. She didn't want my sister and niece here due to them not getting along in the past. "You're the a-hole," she said, through gritted teeth without looking at me and gripping the sink to a point of white knuckles. "Go wake up your sister because I'm not freaking feeding her kid and her kid's freaking friend. I'm done." This is a pretty vivid depiction of the situation. We don't get that often here with stories that are true. No one is denying the kids food. The wife is just refusing to prepare it, and by extension instructing you to inform the sister that she will have to provide the food. After Opie's wife has been apparently taking care of her sister. Opie hasn't provided for how long his sister and niece have been crashing in their home, and for how long his wife has been dealing with an adult acting depressed and not taking care of her own kid. Opie, it's not your wife's responsibility. She can have empathy, she can help, but your wife's child, aka your child, should not be put in a hard place because your sister disrupted his life. You're the a-hole, and your sister is an a-hole as well. Good for your wife to step up for your kid, because you're not useful at all. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents that I am not surprised I was not asked to be a bridesmaid at my half-brother's wedding? My parents have been married for 19 years. My mom has 4 kids from her first marriage. Josh 28, Ella 26, Poppy 24, and Jax 20. All 4 of them have the same bio parents. From what I know, their father is not a great guy and did some stuff to my mom, but my mom and dad always kept me as far from him as possible, so I don't know him really. But his kids with my mom continued to live with him half the time until they were age 18. They're still really close to him today as well. I, 16 female, have always been the outsider with them, even with Jax, who is closest in age to me. He doesn't even remember a time before I was born, but is still closer to them than he is to me. I've learned to accept that I am not their sister nor their family, and I am not their friend either. So when Josh got engaged, I did not expect to be in his wedding at all. But my parents, especially my mom, did. So when they found out Josh's future wife's younger siblings, like much younger, were bridesmaids and groomsmen and I was the only sibling excluded, my mom went to speak to Josh, which in turn meant all 4 of her other kids told her I was not their sibling, and that even if she loved me, they did not, and I wasn't wanted anywhere near them. Neither was my dad, but he was invited to keep her happy. I would not be. My parents have been oh so stuck on this. Then a few days ago, I was like, this was no surprise to me, and I'm shocked it is for you guys. None of the four of them talked to me, and I have always been the outsider with them. My parents were so upset and told me I should expect it because I'm just as much a sibling as they are. I told them my whole life I have known they did not love me. I also told them at one time I would have cried so hard, but that I'm now at the point where that's just a fact of life. I told them I would have been speechless if I had been asked. So no, I wasn't surprised. And they should let it go, because I would not want to be in a wedding where nobody wants or even likes me. My parents are so mad that I have this attitude about it. They want me to care more and said I was very flippant in saying I was not surprised. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Where have your parents been during your life? No a-holes here except the parents. This situation needed to be managed by adults. You were all just kids. Unless you all were raised by bears, it appears the adults dropped the ball a long time ago on this one. They have been there, but I think they thought all those family days, all those times we were brought together made us close, even though mom's other kids couldn't wait to be far away from me. Those kids were kids. They didn't know how to manage the situation any more than you did. Perhaps they didn't want their parents to get divorced and start a new family. It appears there is some bitterness and resentment with all of mom's kids. Your parents dropped the ball if they have been completely oblivious to what has been happening in their home. Just because kids are in the same space doesn't automatically mean they like each other. That requires involvement and effort from parents. Your parents were fine with you and your half-siblings having a parallel relationship. You were all just next to each other, not with each other. You are not a-hole. However, I hate to break this to you, but reading between the lines, I wonder if part of the problem is that your mom has not been honest with you about the circumstances surrounding the breakdown of her previous marriage. This may have contributed toward your half-siblings' feelings toward you all your life. People have asked me that before because of how soon my mom married my dad. But the police and everything were involved back then, and I know that. I also know he served time in jail on and off. So I guess it could be a little of a mixture of things. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my husband a single hour off on Father's Day? My husband, 36 male, and I, 33 female, have been married for 8 years and have 3 kids, 5, 3, and a month-old infant. I am currently still recovering from my planned C-section, and it is taking a lot longer than I had hoped. I am not in bed rest, but pretty darn close. Unless it is to go to the bathroom or changing or feeding my baby, I'm pretty much always sitting or lying down. I don't like it, but it's what my body needs to heal right now. Both my husband and I are still on maternity/paternity leave. Obviously, that means that pretty much every other aspect of our lives falls in my husband's right now. He's been doing a great job of taking care of the older kids and making sure everything in our lives is running as smoothly as it can, given our circumstances. He's also great about taking care of the baby and giving me breaks as much as he can. But I can tell it's starting to wear on him mentally and physically. Neither of us is sleeping well, and I swear he looks like he's lost more weight than I have since the baby came. Due to me being immobile, I can't really go out of the house to do anything without assistance. So I wasn't able to plan anything really fun for Father's Day. I did help the older kids make him cards and ordered him some nice steaks to cook though. I feel bad because for Mother's Day bought me a 6-hour pregnancy spot treatment and took the older kids out of the house all day so I could have peace. But on the morning of Father's Day, I was feeling worse than usual as I had to strain myself the day before to pick up something off the floor and I aggravated my incision. So I was laid up all day. Again, this meant my husband had to do literally everything that day. By the time he got the older kids to bed, I could tell he was irritated and upset. I told him to try and relax for a bit, but then the baby started fussing, and he jumped up off the couch, grabbed a pillow, and screamed into it. I tried to calm him down, but he just kept freaking out about how he's at his wit's end and he needs a break, and that I couldn't even find a way to give him a single hour of quiet on Father's Day. I started crying and he just looked at me and walked away to take care of the baby without saying anything. After he took care of the baby, he came back to me and apologized. But he said he needs a break, and he's going to talk to family about taking the older kids for a week or so, And that is just disappointed that his Father's Day was spent running around doing everything for everyone else. He didn't even get to cook his steaks. He ate cold pizza for dinner. I asked him what I was supposed to do, because it's not like I can move or leave the house. And he said I could have looked into a sitter for the kids, or made them sit with me and watch a movie for an hour, so he could have just a sliver of time for himself. He said it feels like his needs are at the bottom of the list, and he just wanted to feel like he matters for one day. You're the a-hole. You are a recovering mother, which everyone should understand. But I've spent 30 seconds reading this and already thought, why didn't she coordinate with a friend or family member, etc. to take the kids for a portion of the day? That takes bare minimum effort and shows how you care for your man on his day during this period where he's been getting the job done. Hindsight is 2020, but again, you're the a-hole. Hey, but at least she ordered some steak so that he could cook them by himself. Seriously, at least order food in from a nice restaurant or something to make it feel special. Why is it people never think of common sense solutions? So, I'm immobile and Father's Day is coming up. But no, I'm not gonna call any family or friend to take the kids or help me out that day so my husband can actually enjoy his day. And he's gonna have to cook his own dinner. No, I didn't call a restaurant for takeout. Why would I? So many conflicts can be fixed if people would just use their brains. You're the a-hole, and please call some people to come over so your husband can have a break. It sounds like he desperately needs it. You're the a-hole. Unless you left it out, you didn't even console your husband. He broke down in front of you after weeks, maybe months, of doing a lot on his own. And your only response was, well, what I was supposed to do? You're the a-hole for crying when he needed you, not the other way around. Seriously, you managed to get access to internet to post this, but to find a sitter for Father's Day? Apologize to him and make it up to him. And next time he opens up to you, don't cry and make it about you. He's doing literally everything for you.